following presentation is a Delmarva Studios production.
Welcome back, Truth Seekers. From around the world, it's time for another edition of the Flat Earth Files. Hey, standing by, getting ready to join us here in a moment is Rashad from Georgia. A little bit of Flat Earth and his journey to the truth. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder, make sure you check out our new website, theflatearthfiles.com. The forum's been hopping, the chat room's been active, so we appreciate that. Leave your thoughts and ideas there. As well as our new Rumble channel. Appreciate all the views and comments there. It's been very busy here on the homestead. It's springtime, so we've been tilling, we've been sowing. It's just been very busy sun up to sundown. So forgive me if I haven't got back to everyone's emails. I promise I'll get back to them by the end of the week, as well as bring you more content as we usually do. But joining us tonight, we're so happy to have, again, Rashad from the great state of Georgia joining us, and he's going to tell us about his journey to the truth, and we're going to have some flat earth conversation. So without any further ado, let's bring in Rashad. Sir, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I can't complain. It's my favorite time of year. It's springtime. I can't complain, and I'm really happy to take a break and to sit down and to have a conversation about one of my favorite topics, and that is flat Earth. So, for our listeners' sake and my sake, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your journey to the truth?
All right. I'm currently 30. I'll be 31 in May. Originally from New York. Currently reside in Georgia. Been doing security past 10 years. At the moment, I'm an armed officer for Bank of America. Actually just started school again, and we'll definitely talk about that because one of the assignments was about space, so
really?
We'll talk about that a little further on down the line. But as far as my journey to flat Earth, I would have to say, I forget what year it was, but I remember I was working at Staples at the time. I was the type of employee that would, play music while stocking the shelves and stuff. And I was listening to B.O.B. He had, he was putting out, it eventually became a series of projects about the different elements.
Yes. And
I forget the name of the song, but I remember he was saying something about flat Earth and to research Captain Cook.
Yep.
And
Captain James Cook and his with Antarctica. Yep.
And it kind of intrigued me because I'm like, this is coming from a big rapper, and for him to mention that, it kind of rattled my brain. So I'm like, I'll think about it. So I get off work, get home, and I remembered it, and I was like, yeah, let me dive into it. The first thing I did was do a Google search, and at that time, before, it was all filtered to where now if you Google flat Earth, you're not getting flat Earth. But,
that's right. You're getting diversions to the silly flat earthers, right?
Right. The nonsense.
Yep.
But at that time, I Googled Captain Cook, and his journals or his logs came up, which was basically him reaching the ice wall and circumnavigating it. And from there, just took off. And just from seeing the YouTube videos, it gave me goosebumps. It literally had me shaking. Me and my roommate at the time, which is my friend, I pulled him in, and he ended up going down the rabbit hole with me, and we were just shook. It was like every time we stepped outside to play basketball or just do normal things outside, we just found ourselves just looking up, like, what is this?
Isn't that interesting?
It was interesting.
Now, had you been in the quote unquote conspiracy realms prior to this? Like, have you looked into 9/11 and all the other conspiracies prior to this, or were you just dumped into flat Earth?
Oh no, I was actually my mom calls me, out of her 3 children, she calls me her militant child, quote unquote.
Because you question everything,
Because I
right?
always questioned everything.
That's good.
So from Illuminati to I remember somebody telling me about the Rockefellers, so I looked into those bloodlines. Always from a young age, as long as I can remember, I was always into the different conspiracies.
Do you remember the first time in your life where you kind of got a sense of how the world is portrayed, be it through history books or the television, or I should say like the news, right? This is how the world works. Oh, right. How old were you when you started to get a sense is like these two things aren't adding up? What they're telling me and what the history books tell me and how I perceive the world, they're two different things. When did you start to see the difference there?
I would have to. Well, for me, I would have to say 8th grade. Which started with the Illuminati and how the Rockefellers basically took over the education system and put it as what the education system is today type of stuff. So I would have to say 8th grade. I did really remember it being 8th grade. Me and a couple of friends, we were just delved right into the Illuminati. And as of right now, my current rabbit hole that I'm going down is the false timeline that we live in. So that basically ties into.
So are you talking about the timeline where there's like an 8-year difference, like it's almost 2012 or 2014, I forget, or fill us in on the timeline that what you've researched so far?
Well, pretty much basically it ties in with Tartaria, the mud floods.
Okay.
I forget which video I was looking at, but it was a female. And she basically did her own breakdown of the timeline from the biblical stance, like from Adam and Eve all the way up till now. And I believe she was saying the true year is about 1080, I believe she was saying. I would have to go back and double check. But according to her calculations, that's the year that she says we're currently in.
That's interesting. Yeah, I just had a thought and it just completely... left. Oh, Tartaria. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing, and I don't think I've even talked about it much on this podcast yet. And the mud floods, which, right, if I'm correct, that would be the 1800s, right? Is when that supposedly happened.
Yep.
And which left, I guess, a lot of children orphaned.
Yep, and they definitely. What I found interesting at that time was the infants in the incubators.
Yes.
Like at the World Fairs, how that was like a main attraction, which is kind of odd because like has no one ever seen babies before? Like, because it said human babies and incubators and stuff like that. So it's like it kind of struck me as odd.
Yeah, the World Fair is a whole nother conspiracy in itself, especially the one in Chicago. Right. They built entire cities for these fairs.
Right.
So a lot of people...
at the time we're on horse and buggy.
Yeah, exactly. When we were supposedly on horse and buggy. And another thing you can point to, you look at the architecture from hundreds of years ago when they didn't have the tools and the things that we have today and the way they built these things. I do believe there is some type of hidden history that we're dealing with here.
Right. Or earlier today when I was talking to my brother, I feel like maybe there's advanced technology that our government isn't telling us about, because if these different structures and stuff were able to be built before power tools, there has to be some type of advanced technology that the government is hiding from us, and that can go into a whole different conspiracy that I believe in regards to like the UFOs that people are seeing and stuff like that.
Yeah, very true. And again, I do believe, and Nicholas Tesla, created free energy. There is free energy out there. The problem is you can't you can't charge somebody for free energy, and they want us to pay for
that
everything.
would have been an issue.
Yeah, they want us to work our bones off. They want us to work long days to pay for electric, to pay for insurance, because that way we can't sit around and have these type of conversations.
Exactly.
And share knowledge with other people like we are right now. So you were working. You heard what was his name? Notorious B.O.B. was his name.
Oh yes, it was B.O.B. the rapper. Yeah.
B.O.B. Right. And I know he was in the news. He might have even, I don't know if he went on Joe Rogan or who.
I'm not sure if he went on Joe Rogan, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hopped on somebody's podcast.
Now, did he stick to his guns or did he back off?
Oh no, he's definitely stick to his guns. His current music, recently he's been talking a lot about the cloning centers and stuff like that. But no, he definitely stuck to his guns.
Let me ask you this, because I do believe that there's a controller in the music industrial complex. When you look at the big folks like Rihanna, and when you look at these halftime shows, there's some real Illuminati, effects to them. Does he work for an independent label, or is he signed to one of these big labels?
As far as I know, he's independent. He's doing it all on his own.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's a positive sign.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, when you started looking into the flat Earth, what were some of the things that resonated to you, that made sense to you? Because I think for anybody, even people who are basically aware of the many deceptions here today and the lies, again, we talk about going back in time, our altered history and the lies of the true events, whether it be the Iraq War or 9/11.
Right.
It still takes a little bit of, it's next level to lower your guard to even consider the flat Earth, because we're programmed to believe it's so silly. So, which way did you go in, and what things really resonated with you that made sense? Well,
to start, the things that made sense was the fact that there's different people doing different the word is escaping me, but they're doing different tests, as I would say, physical easy tests that a regular person like me you can do to disprove the ball. Right,
these little experiments where they can bringing the boats back in from the curve.
Exactly. So it was the little things like that was just I can go out there and do that. So if I can physically do one of these experiments myself, that is no debating it. There's no debating that.
That's it. How much time did you put into Antarctica, the 60th degree parallel, and the pact and things like that? And have you had any success other than your roommate, actually talking to your friends and your family and saying, "Hey, I think there may be something to this"?
Yeah, I actually converted my uncle.
Wow.
One of my uncles, I converted him. We would just talk on the phone about it. I told him to do his own research, and it got to the point where he was calling me "Hey nephew, this is there's a lot of stuff that I'm checking off my list," and I'm like, "Yep." And you can't tell him that we live on the ball. I'm currently trying to turn my sister, but she's heavily indoctrinated. I would throw stuff at her, and she just easily regurgitates the indoctrination that they teach you, and it's just ridiculous. But I'm gonna keep chipping away, and we'll see. My brother, I would say he's kind of on the fence. Not too sure. I could talk to him about it, and he listens. He doesn't deflect or the other nonsense that Globers do. He definitely listens, and he said he's going to do his own research, so we'll see where that goes. But I'm pretty open. Going back to what I was saying earlier, me going back to school, I'm actually in school for my bachelor's to get for criminal justice.
Great.
And my liberal arts class, one of our assignments, every week we have to do a discussion, which is you do a post,
and then you have to reply to 2 or 3 other people's posts.
Right? Yeah, everybody can reply to it. And I remember the discussion was about how we feel about space exploration and where it is today. So when I read the question, I'm like, do I really want to put this out there to everybody, to my professor, to other students that this is my belief, or do I want to slip into the whole indoctrination and just type out a bunch of stuff that I do not believe in? So I pretty much text my sister, my brother, and my mom, and they would like, tell the truth, tell your truth.
That's good advice.
So that's what I did. I basically told them how I feel about space exploration, that I don't believe in it, that we live on a flat plane. And that was my post. And I believe only one student replied to it. But with her response to it basically proved the flat earth. She was saying the fact that we have imagery that shows that the stars rotate around us shows we live on a ball. I'm like, that's false, but hey.
Yeah, she just contradicted heliocentrism.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Well, kudos to you for sticking to your convictions. And I mean, you could very easily just said, NASA's great. Man's greatest accomplishment was going to the moon, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's doing the right thing, is sticking to your guns. And just that post alone, there may be one person who read your post but didn't comment,
right.
and it could have caused them. Unfortunately, they probably went to Google and they said, "Oh, this is silly." But maybe they would stumble on a YouTube video or something that has some genuine text behind it, and could possibly lead them just far enough into that rabbit hole where they start to realize that maybe, just maybe, they were lied to. And a lot of people who email me, and a lot of people who we've had on this program before, are quick to say that maybe before discovering flat Earth, they weren't as close to God as they were before. Did this do anything for you spiritually as far as your relationship with God?
Well, growing up, we every Sunday we were in church. But as I got older, I kind of strayed away. I'm not saying I strayed away from God. I just,
from church
at the moment, I don't believe in organized religion, but I believe in a creator. It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around different creators for different religions.
Mm-hmm.
So I just believe in one creator of where we live, one creator of all humankind. Is pretty much what I believe in.
But did it bring you closer, like to realize there is actually a creator out there?
I mean, yeah, it definitely brought me closer, but there was never a day in my life where I believed in the Big Bang or didn't believe somebody created all of this. Gotcha. All my life, I believe somebody created this.
Well, that's good. Have you taken the time to look into the firmament and things like that?
Yep. Firmly believe in the firmament, especially from the beginning of my flat Earth journey. The Go rocket, or the rocket that
they hit the firmament, yeah.
Yep. Once I seen that video, and specifically, I had dreams about it. It gave me goosebumps, chills, because it's like, what did it hit? So basically, once I got further into my flat Earth research, I'm like connecting that video to the proofs of the firmament, and it also being in biblical text that there's a firmament, basically solidified it for me.
And if that's the case, that eliminates NASA. Have you taken the dive into NASA and watched?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. NASA is just garbage. It's basically the government's number one tool to keep everyone indoctrinated, pretty much, as I see it.
It is, and it's a very expensive one. It's $70 million a day.
Right.
It's incredible. The things I could do with $70 million a day with the CGI and things like that, you could make a fortune. So again,
in world hunger.
Yeah, there's so much you could really do. And even when we send money off to these countries like Ukraine, only such a small portion actually goes to the people on the ground. It's just another game, that the elites play to control us, our emotions, and to conquer and to divide us, right?
Yep. Pretty much. And it's sad, but I wish it was an easier way to wake everyone up, but it's just the stronghold that they have on people these days. It's tough.
Well, let me ask you this: how do you discern for yourself when you're listening to different podcasts or different YouTube channels? What was it that that my podcast resonated with you, that you continued to listen and reach out to me? Was that, I should have asked this question before. I don't know if if there was something in particular.
It's just easy to digest. How can I put this? Most podcasts that I listen to that just touch on flat Earth, like maybe just one episode, it's always a bunch of the indoctrinated stuff, or want to throw jokes in about people who believe in the flat Earth and just a bunch of nonsense. But here, you're basically giving people easily digestible things to where if they don't believe in flat Earth, they're gonna hear it and it's gonna click a light in their head to let me dive into this, let me research this. And it's not like it's not a lot at once. You basically take us by the hand and go step by step, little by little,
like a 5-course meal, a little bit at a time, right?
Right. And it's basically not giving you the whole buffet at once, pretty much.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think it's important, and I really try to be cognizant of this when I do these podcasts. On the one side, we have a lot of people, the people who are pro-globe, they bash flat earthers. The one thing I try not to do, and I hope I don't ever come across, I try not to bash the people who believe in the globe, because I was that guy. I mean, everybody, I would, most of us were that person, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So the last thing I want to do is give somebody the wrong idea and chase them out. So, and I get emails reminding me of that quite often to, not, sheeple, and because we were all part of the flock once.
Yeah, we were all indoctrinated at one point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that, for me, again, I had been in the conspiracy world for quite some time.
Right.
But I never took the time of day to look into flat Earth. And when finally people started needling me enough, I went in with, hey, I want to disprove this and move on with my life. And then I think finally realizing that we are certainly more of a flat plane than we are a globe, that,
right.
That moment you realize if they can lie about man's greatest accomplishment, going to the moon, and lie about where we live, on this ball, hurtling through space, chasing the sun at 66,000 miles per hour and spinning and rotating. And it seems like every couple weeks, lately, I don't know if you've been noticing, we see these little news flashes that there's meteorite X254 is going to pass within X amount of... Right. Now, do you think that is to keep the globe relevant? Is it to keep NASA relevant, or is it just a mess with us? All these things that they push with the meteorites and things like that.
Pretty much. But recently, I've been saying I feel like they're trying to grasp at straws, because I feel like at this moment, I feel like flat Earth is making a bang. Just earlier, I have the Dave Weiss Flat Earth app, and just looking at the blue dots, as Dave Weiss would say, of the people who have the app and are participating in the app, and just seeing how many people, just in America alone, and the fact that you can see the different blue dots in different countries is just, I feel like NASA has a little bit of heat under them, because they just keep pushing out more and more nonsense to where I just laugh at it now, because it's like they're trying too hard at the moment. And that's just how I see it. I feel like they're trying too hard now.
I'm wondering if you say, I dropped a video, I did it kind of comically, but the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, he came off and kind of...
I listened to that. Yeah, I remember that episode.
Did you hear the video where he's going after flat earthers and calling us dangerous?
Right. I'm like, I mean, I patted myself on the back because I feel like they should be scared of us. They should see us as a danger because it's the truth. You're gonna be afraid of the truth. That's how I see it. They're scared of the truth.
And I'm starting to wonder. There certainly has been a lot of diversions and events. I'll keep it at that. In the last several weeks, maybe even the last several months, like the news cycle is 24/7. Whether it's shootings, whether it's Trump's going to get arrested. This
Right.
person, it's like 24/7, 365. It seems like they're working very hard to keep our attention away
Overtime.
from the real issues. The banks are collapsing.
Right.
People are waking up, and I think they're afraid that, maybe they're feeling our breath on the back of their neck. What do you think?
I think so. And I commend Paris because the fact that America right now isn't acting as Paris is kind of, tells you something. But I feel like that's, like you said, all of the distractions is keeping people away from us reacting as they are in Paris right now.
And let me ask you this. First of all, kudos to you. You're a younger guy, and you've got a good head on your shoulders. And
Thank
you hear all the time from old folks that the younger generation doesn't get it. But I'm here to tell you, over the last month, 6 weeks, I've had a lot of folks, but in their 20s and 30s, that are spot on the ball. There is a great awakening, and younger generations are getting a bad rap. And this, the TV will tell you what, they'll show these people with. They'll show they call them woke people screaming in the streets and doing they show the 1% of the 1%, like the people who really you'll never really encounter in your lives, and they'll make you think that's
how all of them are.
Exactly. That's this younger generation, this and that, and that's just not the fact whatsoever. Let me ask you this, as a younger guy, why do you think our country, with all the tyranny that's going on, and I'm old enough to know that in my younger days, I never saw censorship like this, never saw churches get locked down like we've seen over the last few years. Why is it that we as Americans as a whole don't rise up together? Because we have the numbers. Why don't we rise up together and kind of to squash this evil, tyrannical federal government that we have before us?
I should have a counter on this episode as to how many times I said indoctrination because it's my favorite word, but that's pretty much what it boils down to, indoctrination. It's pretty much like when you're a kid and your parents tell you Santa isn't real, the tooth fairy isn't real, you automatically go into defense mode and want to defend everything that you've known all of your life. So it's kind of hard to snatch people from in front of the TV and take the glasses off and tell them this is the real world. It's hard to get that across to them, and a lot of them do not want to hear it. They do not want to break away from the system. It has so much of a hold on us that people are afraid to turn away.
Do you think part of it could be that we're too comfortable as a society now?
Yep. Yep. Pure and simple.
I mean, we have entertainment at our fingertips.
Yep.
You
virtual
get on your
reality.
Yeah, virtual reality. I mean, the video games y'all have today versus I had an Atari 2600 where after 10 minutes it was so boring to play because everything sucked on it. But there's just, even with that being said, I hope, and I'm not telling people to light their torches and pitchforks and run to Washington, D.C. by any stretch of the imagination. But everybody, if you feel like your rights are being infringed upon, you should be doing some type of, I forget the term I used. It's been a long day. But civil disobedience is the term I use, civil disobedience, whatever the case may be, because you are, and when I mean you, I'm talking to the listeners, we are being lied to on a grand scale. Every day. Yep. It's just, it would be such a great day to take back our freedoms and to have this I don't even want. What word do I want to use for our federal government? And I was recording an episode right before you hopped on, and it made a reference that people get so worked up about the Democrats and the Republicans, like at the top tiers, the Trumps, the Bidens, the Obamas, the Bushes.
Right.
But these people don't even know who their local assemblyman is. They don't know who their state representatives.
Exactly.
They get so caught up in the federal game, and that is all a divide and conquer scheme.
Yep. I mean, me personally, I don't really believe in the whole left wing, right wing, Democrat, Republican, because they're all part of the same club. So, but yeah, pretty much, everybody wants to idolize and get attached to these people, but the real people that make decisions in your local area, they don't want to touch. So.
Yep.
With that, I don't see any change coming anytime soon as to where we need to be as a country.
Yeah, well, if we're going to do something, we have to do it soon because it's only a matter of time before they collapse banks and start world wars. Right. And it's not
with the whole BRICS thing. I was talking about that earlier at work. I'm like, BRICS is a pretty big topic.
Yeah, BRICS is a big
people
topic.
Need to be looking more into.
Yeah, the Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia, are looking to move to the Chinese yuan. The Kenyan president just said he just told his entire country to get rid of the dollar.
Right. Basically telling people be prepared because I took it as it's happening.
Yeah, and even the banks are getting into gold and silver, which is a sign that we're in for some difficult times. I wanted to kind of lean back into the flat Earth. And what are your thoughts? The sun and the moon in the firmament, obviously a lot closer than what they tell us. And have you done a lot of research into your thoughts on the sun and the moon and how they may work?
Yep, definitely they're local, closer than what they tell us. Definitely in the firmament with us. Lately I've been finding myself asking about the moon. Because I'm pretty much solid on the sun, basically it being the spotlight. But the moon is just so intriguing because it has all of the different spots, or I don't want to say craters because we don't really know what's on the moon, but it's just I've always find myself looking at the moon like, what, like, what are you? What is it? I definitely forget the guest name that you had on here. It was a young lady. She had brought up the 5 hour documentary, the Lost History of the Flat Earth.
Oh yeah, yep.
Definitely watched it, but it was just the one thing that I couldn't really get behind was when he said that the moon is basically a photo of the
like a reverse Earth, a map of the Earth,
right? Yeah, but the only reason why I really couldn't get fully behind it is because it would be an image of the ice wall, because we know the ice wall is there, but there's no ice wall on the supposed imagery of where we are on the moon. So it's just, I'm not too sure what the moon is, and I can't. It's been rattling my brain.
Yeah, that is the $1 million question, and certainly, I don't believe, and I'm willing to bet that you don't believe that it is a rock that we can physically land on. Obviously,
right? No, definitely not. Definitely not.
What else am I missing? What other thoughts do you have on the flat Earth?
Pretty much. Well, I really wish we could go to Antarctica, because that would definitely answer a lot of questions that a lot of flat earthers can't really come together on. The whole belief of different lands being over there. I've definitely seen the interview with Bird where he said he's seen land twice the size of the U.S. But it's just I mean I know it's a far-fetched dream, but it's just I really want to go to Antarctica. Like, no restrictions, just go and see what's there. And for the people who do believe in the globe, or just people who aren't really awaken yet is why haven't they asked themselves why there's such a strong restriction on Antarctica as to why you as a free American cannot just get up one day and go to Antarctica.
And the interesting thing is all the countries on that treaty are countries that were not
Most exactly of them are at war right now.
Exactly, Russia and China and all these other countries. And I think actually in the news, of course, this is just staged, and you know, I think I heard somebody say something about China's looking to do more exploration and this, that, and the other thing. It's just
yeah, because I remember when it hit the news that Russia and China were trying to get rid of the Antarctic Treaty, and I remember saying, I hope they do. I'm like, I hope they do so we can go over there.
Yeah, that is very interesting because there were maps from the 19th century that showed obviously our world with an ice wall. Then outside of it, I think there was 4 or 5 more continents.
Right.
And we just don't know because, and it's I think it's a fair question to ask because, again, when you're lied to about so much,
man, yep.
Who knows how far the lie actually goes? Exactly.
And they have the Air Force and a space, I mean, not a space, but a sea unit that's there to stop you. So it's just intriguing as to why no one asked the question why.
Is there a particular flat Earth proof that if you had one go-to to present to somebody who is new to the flat Earth, which one to you was like it's a done deal? Was it the horizon, water? Which one to you resonates the most that you know you would stake yourself to, that the world is flat because?
Pilots in flight. Plain and simple. Pilots in flight. You have a bunch of pilots that will definitely tell you that they're trained to fly on a flat surface, and then just the fact that you don't feel the tilt that they would realistically have to do to not fly into space. That's the first thing that I'll pull out when somebody asks me why I believe in the flat Earth, or basically to try and convince them as far as why the Earth is flat, and I basically tell them flight, and tie that with the supposed rotation of the Earth. Why is it that we can't just levitate a few feet above the surface and just let our destination come to us?
Yeah, precisely, and that even goes back to the Red Bull jumper, right?
Yep. Yep.
Here's a guy 100 and some thousand feet in the air and landed right back in his place, right?
Mm-hmm. It's just too many inconsistencies.
And I'm sure a question you get when you speak to some of your friends and family, when they say to you, why would they lie? Right? There would have to be so many people in on it. What would your reply be?
They want you to feel irrelevant. They want you to feel small, like you don't matter, like you don't mean anything at all. And it seems to be working for a majority of the people that are alive today.
It is quite a control mechanism, and I think I've said this before.
Yep.
Back in the 30s, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but the War of the Worlds broadcast in like 1938, 1939. 7 million people called 911. People in New Jersey ran. They took their guns and they went out and they shot holes in their own water tower.
Wow! Because
they thought it was like a UFO coming in. And I think that day people really realized that these people will believe anything they hear on the radio, and then eventually that turned into anything they saw on the television. And then I truly believe that, not talking as far as the news and stuff, but then I think Hollywood, both TV and the movie theater, play a huge part of manipulating the mind. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I would just say the proof is the fact that they fooled the world into believing that some people from Iraq or Iran took over a plane with box cutters. Just that alone is is amazing as to what they can do.
Yeah, and then of course so many things started to fall. People saying that they were making their last phone calls with cell phones that at that time they couldn't reach from 30,000 feet. There
Right.
was some. I mean, we could go into hour-long episode into that, but you're spot on. They sure do manipulate that, and it would be something. I mean, if you want to talk about really proving something as a lie, I think it's so late now that if we came out and said, like, if the president came out tomorrow and said, "Listen, the CIA killed John F. Kennedy," there would be a lot of news, a lot of people angry, but there's no one left.
Yep.
Who are they going to hold accountable? They're all dead.
Exactly.
Right. But
exactly. And that goes back to me saying it's basically like telling the kids Santa isn't real.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that was it. Pretty much.
Oh, I missed what you said that last sentence. What did you say about the kids?
Oh yeah, it's pretty much like I was saying earlier on how when you tell the kid that Santa isn't real.
Oh, yes, exactly. Precisely. Right.
Yep.
And 100%. And man, this is the second time today I've lost my complete train of thought. We are with Rashad from Georgia. As I'm trying to remember, because you made a really good point, and I was trying to backtrack on it. It had to do with the lies, the deceit, and control. That's where I was getting to. This is a very big control mechanism, and it's another diversion.
Sure.
I don't know if you know, but Werner von Braun, he's the guy. He came over Operation. Say again.
From Germany,
Yep.
Not Auschwitz, but
Operation
the whole
Paperclip.
Nazi regime. Yeah.
And he was a V2 rocket scientist. They brought him over. And in his later days, he did say that they would try to use, at least the story goes, that he talked to his assistant, who's made very many videos and has been, I think, actually, they're still on YouTube. She said that he confided in her in his final days that they would try to do some type of Operation Bluebeam to get people to, accept a one world government.
Yep, pretty much part of the New World Order.
Yep.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I looked into as well. I would have to say probably around 10th grade I looked into Project Bluebeam.
Do you think we have the technology to pull something like that off, or is it simple as they could do CGI and show it to the people on TV and get away with it?
Yep. That goes back to what I was saying about the government hiding this advanced technology that they've known and had all these years. So I definitely believe that they have some type of technology for Project Bluebeam.
That's interesting. How old do you think this technology is, and how long do you think they've been suppressing it?
Ooh, I would have to say over 1,000 years.
So you're talking like Egyptian type of technology back to the pyramids.
Right. Just the hieroglyphs of them with the light bulbs and stuff is just astonishing. So it's still a mystery, but there's no way that they were able to do all of these things before the invention of power tools. It's just, I don't know how people could believe this stuff.
Yeah, that is interesting. So when you were introduced to Tartaria, you think there's something to that, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like even here in Georgia, like once I started diving into Tartaria and the mud floods, just the different infrastructures we have in the city, I just look at them differently now because it looks definitely has the look of the buildings of those times. So it's very interesting. Like our Capitol building, definitely replicas the different infrastructures that they had at that time and the stuff that you would see in the World Fair in the 1800s.
Yeah, and I've seen videos before. My wife follows a guy named John Levi, and I've seen videos they've showed where there's like these buildings in, first world type of countries. And when they dig down, there's more and more and more of the building. Like there's several floors that have been built upon. So, that's interesting. That's one rabbit hole I haven't really gone down. I think Crow 777 and some of those folks have delved into it. I know there's some people that are back and forth on it. I guess that's something that I should take some time and look into. Is there any resources for people who are interested in the mud flood in Tartaria, the folks that you follow who have good information on that?
I started off of the Dave Weiss app, the Flat Earth app, under the where you can see all of the different videos.
Oh, that's right.
He has one folder that says Tartaria, so that's pretty much where I started.
That's interesting. And was that a worldwide phenomenon, or was it did it affect certain countries? What is the story on that?
A lot of people seem to believe that it was worldwide. Pretty much a restart, the Great Reset. Is pretty much where I'm the common denominator amongst everyone who talks about it.
So these people, the controllers, if you will, they know the technology. They'll reset.
Yep, because pretty much what everyone has a consensus on is once they came upon these great buildings and seeing what they were used for, they basically repurposed them to what we see today. And all of the technology, all of the stuff that they seen that they were using technology-wise, they pretty much took it and kept it to themselves and didn't give it to the people.
Oh, that's interesting. And, excuse me, it's interesting when you look at the history, how for so many years up until, I guess, the mid-1800s with the incorporation of the steam engine, you started to see trains in the 1850s. 1885, the first, I think, was Mercedes-Benz, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
The first, car. The Model Ts didn't come around to the early 1900s. The Wright brothers, 1910-ish, I guess. Right. And then 50 years later, we're on the moon. It's just it's such a quick acceleration of events. I mean, I think it's...
And that should tell you something. Go from horse and buggy to flying into low Earth orbit.
Yeah, basically 110 years.
Yeah.
Because again, I think the steam engine, the train, and I'm going to fact check myself here. Steam engine train. I want to say it was, and I'm sure it was probably before that. 1802. So that was the first one, though. Obviously, it wasn't a mainstream thing for quite some time. But still, that is quite a leap going from that to, landing on the moon, specifically with the technology they had available to them at the time. Exactly.
And that's what brought me down the rabbit hole. I'm like, something isn't right here.
and what's interesting is, how many other technologies in the history of our world has gone backwards?
Right. Or why hasn't any of it moved forward?
Yeah, and you've got the Don Pettit guy saying that we lost the technology. When have we ever lost technology? It's like waking up tomorrow, there's no Wi-Fi, you call Verizon. We lost it, sorry.
Right. Like, we don't know how we did it. We lost it. We seem to delete. We have deleted the files.
Now, there's talk that we're going back to the moon soon. I'm not sure if it's the Artemis or...
Yep, Artemis. I was just looking at that. I believe in 2 years, they're saying. And they recently just unveiled the new spacesuits.
Oh, there we go.
I'm like, this is going to be interesting if... I just want to see how this is going to play out.
Do you think we'll get one steady stream?
They were recently just talking about that. I believe they had like a press conference and someone had brought that up. And whoever the guy was, it seemed like he was trying to find the words to basically say no.
That's what they do best, right?
Pretty much.
So
but yeah, I will have to go back and look at it. But somebody definitely brought that up.
From the MIT Technology Review, the first crewed mission is scheduled to loop around the moon in 2024, and the first Artemis landing on the moon is scheduled for 2025. But of course, it says NASA's return to the moon is off to a rocky start. And I think like everything else, they'll continue to kick the can down to the next administration. And certainly if war breaks out, that'll be the end of that.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. It's going to deter everyone, take everybody's attention off of what they were saying about going to the moon.
Yeah, precisely. And they'll continue to siphon off all that money, $70 million a day. Yep. Good grief.
Pretty much.
My goodness.
The world we live in.
It sure is. Is there anything else? I'm looking at my notes. Is there anything else that you want to touch on that we haven't talked about yet?
I feel like we touched all bases. Nothing that I could think of. Just thank you for your time. This has been a pleasure. From going to listening to each episode to actually being here on one is just mind blowing to me. You do great work. I definitely look forward to your new episodes every week, every day. Like I said earlier, just the way you deliver it is just amazing. A1, top tier.
Well, it's greatly appreciated, and I appreciate you reaching out and taking the time to join us and giving us your perspective and going back to your conviction when, I don't even know if myself back when I was doing my college days, if I would have, I probably would have, just because I'm like you. I'm kind of just, that's the way I am, and I have no problem in challenging authority. If I have the conviction, I won't do it just because, there was always those guys in school that would just do it to kind of be a smart ass. But if I believe in my heart of hearts that something's not right, I'm going to stand by it. And I'm not going to be right all the time, but I'm going to stand by my beliefs.
Definitely. As you should.
If there's anybody, and I meant to ask you this prior to going to recording this, if anybody wanted to reach out to you and have a conversation with you, do you have an email or a social media where people can reach out to you?
Yes, they could definitely email me, which would be Rashad Dorsey at yahoo.com, RASHAD as in dog, D as in dog, ORSEY at yahoo.com.
Okay, and I think is that the same one that you emailed me on?
Yep.
Okay, I will put that in the show description, so if you'd like to reach out to Rashad, you can do so, and we'll also have the link to the website and, of course, our Rumble channel. And again, anything else you'd like to say to the masses before we sign off?
I want to wake up to those who are still asleep, and for those fighting the good fight, hey, it'd be nice if we could all come together on the same page and get this thing rolling.
Awesome. I couldn't have said it better myself. For Rashad, I am George. I hope everybody has a great week. We'll bring you more. I think Friday I'm scheduled to, I'll have an actual podcast, and then our next guest I think is scheduled for April 5th. And that's Richard. We'll have a great conversation. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you again in a few days. God bless you, and keep your head on a swivel. We will see you.